Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking on some absolutely massive, heavy-hitting ideas. You know, words we hear every single day in the hallways, in movies, in books. Love, honesty, justice. But we are going to figure out what they actually look like in the real world. We'll be diving into a source text that challenges us to completely rethink these concepts. I mean, are they just nice, floating ideas? Or are they demanding something much, much more from us? Let's get into it.
Okay, so think about your homework for a second. We all know there's a huge, literal gap between thinking about doing your homework and actually turning it in, right? Our source text points out that there's a similar, massive gap between feeling a good idea and actually doing it. You can sit on the couch all evening having incredibly positive, productive thoughts about your math assignment. You can vibe with the concept of algebra. But if you don't pick up a pencil and actually do the equations, well, that homework simply doesn't exist in reality. And your teacher definitely can't grade your good intentions.
Section 1. Ideas versus real actions.
Which brings us right into Section 2, Love is what you do. Let's see how this builds from an internal feeling into something real.
So, love isn't just a feeling. It's not just a vibe or a little heart emoji you fire off in a text. According to our source, love only actually exists when it translates into material behavior. Think about it. If your friend forgets their lunch and is sitting right next to you, totally starving, feeling a deep, warm sense of affection for them in your heart does absolutely zero for their empty stomach. Love is the act of actually physically splitting your sandwich and giving them half. It's sacrificing your own resources. The source defines love exactly like this. It is an act of care materialized in behavior and attitude. It's in what you say, how you respond, what you protect. The text argues that if love cannot be observed in your actual conduct, well, it simply does not exist in the real world. Feelings alone, they're just internal states. The reality of love kicks in the exact second those feelings translate into real-world action.
So the crucial takeaway here is that love is an action. And that naturally makes us wonder, does honesty work the exact same way?
Section 3. Honesty is a choice.
Honesty isn't just some permanent good person badge you get to wear on your jacket. It's an act. It's a choice you perform in specific, and honestly, usually really uncomfortable situations. Claiming to value honesty while constantly covering things up, that's a material pattern of behavior. True honesty is walking up to the teacher and admitting you were the one who accidentally knocked over and broke the science beaker. You know you might get in trouble, but you do it anyway. You perform honesty by facing the consequences. Outside of that action, honesty just has no reality.
Let's move on to Section 4. Justice is fixing things.
When we hear the word justice, I think a lot of us immediately picture a superhero swooping down from the sky to punch a bad guy and save the day. But justice isn't a universal truth floating in the clouds. Our source defines it as a very grounded method of organizing a material response to harm. Going back to that broken science beaker, justice isn't just yelling at the kid who broke it. It's the actual, practical method of figuring out how to clean up the glass, replace the beaker, and make sure the lab is safe for everybody else.
And because justice depends entirely on material, real-world conditions, the text shows how it fractures into completely different practices. For some, justice is just punishment, like revenge masked as law. But for others, justice means fulfilling material needs, like making sure someone has enough food so they aren't forced to steal in the first place. Sometimes it's restorative, focusing on getting two fighting students to actually sit down and reconcile. And sometimes it's transformative justice, which asks the big question, how do we eliminate the root conditions, like poverty or exclusion, that caused the harm to begin with? Completely different actions, but we use the exact same word to describe them all.
Section 5, Judging by the Results. Let's look at the grand philosophical shift presented in our source.
We're looking at idealism versus materialism here, and hey, don't let those big academic words scare you off. It's actually super practical. Think of idealism as getting stuck comparing your actual messy life to an impossible perfect movie. It judges reality for failing to live up to eternal moral truths. Materialism, which is what the source advocates for, does the exact opposite. It looks at what people actually do in the name of love or justice and judges those concepts strictly by the real-world outcomes, essentially asking, does this action actually help people or does it hurt them?
And this is why abstract justice, justice disconnected from reality, is incredibly dangerous. The source warns us that when we detach these concepts from their actual consequences on real human beings, we can easily justify some pretty awful things. Suddenly, harsh punishment is treated as a virtue. Causing suffering is seen as righteous. If love is reduced to just a warm, fuzzy feeling inside, then neglecting a friend is totally excusable because, hey, you still feel love for them, right? And if honesty is just a blind rule without any context, truth can literally be used as a weapon to hurt people.
So this brings us to an absolutely crucial realization from the text. Love, honesty, and justice are not truths to be discovered, they are practices to be enacted. I love that framing. These aren't invisible trophies you win or magical secrets you stumble upon. They are visible practices that you have to execute. There is no true love or true justice just floating out there in the abstract. There are only loving acts or harmful ones. There are only just practices or oppressive ones.
Ultimately, they are tools. Just like a hammer or a wrench sitting in a tool belt, they don't do anything just sitting there looking shiny. A hammer is literally only valuable when it is striking a nail. The worth of love, honesty, and justice lies purely in what they actually do, the consequences they have, and what they build in the real world. Since there are only loving acts, honest choices, and just practices, the ball is entirely in your court. It's not about what you think, it's about what you actually do when that beaker breaks or your friend is hungry. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. What are you going to build?